Actually, I thought I was going to be the last person standing between you and the coffee break, but I guess I'll let that pleasure to Rufus this time. So I'll have a little bit more time and less pressure. So my name is Darko Brkan. I'm president of Zašto, or Why Not, a small NGO from Bosnia. We started some 15 years ago as a small NGO, and now we've been working then on conscientious objection to the military. Now we are still a small NGO, also from Bosnia, 15 years later, working on many more issues. Also, I'll be kind of speaking on behalf of the Action-SE network, which is a network in the Southeast Europe region. And it's an abbreviation of Accountability, Technology, and Institutional Openness Network in the Southeast Europe. Basically, talking about Balkans, that's a challenge. You know, like last time I spoke about to a group of people about Bosnia. We ended up that night drinking and still talking about the same subject, and I only have 15 minutes. But I'll try to be as concise and as good as possible. So this is the Balkans, obviously, at least what we conceive of the Balkans, our part of the Balkans where the network works. And what's the first thing you see when you look at this? A lot of lines. There's a lot of lines over there. So if you look into Bosnia, I think the most lines that you'll ever see in a country, and all of these represent something, like all of these represent some division within Bosnia. I'm not going to go into that. It'll take us the whole day, so if somebody wants that, bring a bottle of whatever, and we'll talk over that the whole night. So, Serbia, you don't see any lines, but there are lines on the south, and like, you know, some people say that there are lines there, some people say there are no lines, and like, you know, there are issues obviously there. We go to Montenegro, no lines there, but like, you know, there used to be a line, this line on the north wasn't there at one point. There's a little thing that you don't see on the border of Montenegro and Bosnia, like, you know, that's also a little bit of a line that wouldn't change anything actually on this picture, is now a big diplomatic scandal between Bosnia and Montenegro as we speak. So like, you know, there's a lot of lines in the Balkans. Obviously, Macedonia, you don't see lines, but there are lines inside the country. So like, you know, that's Balkans for you, like at this moment. It's a lot of lines and a lot of differences in opinions and a lot of things that happen. So if I would ask you now, like, you know, for your first word that you think of when you talk about Balkans, okay, except from potentially rakia or the music, and don't get me that, I think you're basically referring to one of these words. You know, so this would be my tag cloud of the Balkans in the eyes of the people from the outside, and also in the eyes of the many people from within the region. Well, what comes next is that there's this like big box of different things that came, well, I wouldn't call it served, but came naturally to the Balkans as it did to the rest of the world, and actually, you know, like it kind of got things moving in exchange of information, in exchange of thoughts. It kind of like, you know, merged a little bit the whole thing in the Balkans. And basically, this is where I want to start talking about how we formed our regional network and how we perceive the whole work in the Balkans on generally activism that refers to accountability, ensuring accountability, transparency, and all of that with the help of technology and connected world. It all started with a small accountability project that started pretty simultaneously within a year in a couple of countries in the region. Actually, it was we all perceived accountability as kind of the main drive of democracy and building democracy in our countries. So, kind of simultaneously, we all in the region started this thing called Truthometer, which basically is a fact-checking tool to fact-check the work of the government, of the political parties, of government officials in a very methodologically defined way. And we kind of ended up, okay, there's these projects in the region. There were at that moment, and I think, in 4 countries in the region. It was Bosnia, Serbia, Macedonia, and Albania, and then later on came also Montenegro. So we were kind of okay, like, let's talk, let's meet up, and let's see what are the common points. And there were more common points than we actually expected. And then 2 years later, we found ourselves here, you know, like, so, and you know, somehow there's still lines on the Balkans map there, but, like, you know, they don't seem as obvious as they, at least not to us, as they were before. And actually, now we kind of, like, you know, identify that there are groups in each of the country of the regions that actually have the same goals. We all basically work on accountability. We want to ensure that actually the government is doing what we expect them to do, or what they promised that they would do. We all kind of, let's say, evangelize around technology as a tool to connect at this moment. And let's be honest, like, you know, we are small organizations with very modest resources, so, like, you know, technology helps us a lot in everything we do, especially if you want to cover the big deal of the region that it is. So, and then obviously is trying to help and also encourage institutions to open up to the people and make things more working in the region in that way. So that's basically, in a nutshell, where we are at. And there's a lot of things happening in the region. There's, like, I don't know, like over 100 existing initiatives that are somehow within the network or covered by the network. So I'm just briefly introduced, like, I know it's a little bit of advertising, but I'll just go briefly through the core organizations of the network. So it's Why Not from Bosnia and Herzegovina, Metamorphosis Foundation, you'll hear from them also later today, from Macedonia, Center for Research, Transparency and Accountability from Serbia, and Center for Democratic Transition from Montenegro. These are the core members, and then again we do have partners also in Kosovo, Albania, and Croatia as the rest of the region. So, like, you know, all of a sudden, all these lines that I kind of was talking about in the beginning are, I'm not going to say they're gone. I'm just going to say that they seem less obvious to us when we work, and I'll get into the details now and give you a couple of examples why we feel like that. So I was thinking of going through a couple of joint initiatives that we have in order for you to understand more why I say so. So, like, there's a very recent initiative that we did over the last year, which is the Data Academy, where we kind of started off very modestly by trying to engage the NGOs in the region into learning more about how to deal with data. But outside of that, like, you know, outside of capacity building, we didn't expect much more. But we ended up actually thinking that, for instance, in the scope of data standards and how the government is publishing data in the region, there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of both similarities in terms how they publish it, but both in similarities in the way how they try to kind of hide data within the data they're publishing. So, like, you know, where we are at the moment is actually developing at least for one thing, and if this becomes successful, we are thinking of doing it for other things. Like, we figured out that assets declarations of politicians are pretty similar in the region, and they can fit into a same pattern. So we are kind of developing a standard for a regional standard for disclosing of asset declarations at the moment, which would be one added value of that all. And, you know, like, if we get that, then, like, you know, at least one line is gone on asset declarations. There's more there. Then there's Community Booster. This is a thing that was actually started together with TechSoup Europe, and it was basically supposed to be a community tool, online community tool for engaging the people that are dealing with this issue in the region. But over the years, well, it's been now there for 2 years, we kind of developed it into a regional portal that actually has all the information about what's happening in the region regarding accountability, transparency, technology. We also covered a lot of events that are happening all across the world. So we're kind of trying to bring the information about everything that's happening within the region and within the network, and also outside of the region, that's outside of the network to the people in the region. Then there's another thing that is, well, basically I'm kind of giving you a sneak preview here because this is not done yet, but we are close to finishing it. We're trying to kind of, we figured that there are big things that are also connecting the region in terms of like how similar it is, but also we identify that there are specificities to the region compared to the rest of the world. So like, you know, we're kind of took all the open government indexes and similar standards that are out there existing, and we kind of are now developing, or are pretty finished with developing, something that we call the regional open government index, that will be kind of a set of different indexes that target specific branches of government that are basically in line with how the regional reality looks like. And also it will include not only the standard itself, but it will include very detailed roadmaps for each of the countries, how they should, in perspective, work in order to achieve the things that are set with the index. So, like we are now standardizing open government in the whole region. And one networking event similar to this one, and I'm not going to compare here because I have my own preferences. Sorry, Kuba. It's Point Conference. It's a conference that started spontaneously. When we started with the network, we kind of thought, okay, we need a place to meet and talk. In the beginning, it was supposed to be like, you know, just a couple of groups meeting together, talking, and it turned out to be a quite big and the biggest regional showcasing conference. Well, it started as a showcasing conference. Now it's more. Now we're introducing Advocacy Day, which will be the first day, and it will be on open data. Then we will have something that we introduced last year, which will be the workshops and last year it was a hackathon. This year it is a datathon. We are getting modern. And like, you know, so we're basically like kind of building us to be a building point to be a big conference in the region. I think that everybody who is kind of dealing with these issues in the region has been at least once to Point Conference or is repeatedly coming. And also we try to get the best of this world from outside of the region, from Europe, from the Middle East, from US, from the rest of the world to the conference to kind of showcase their work. And then, like, it looks big now, you know, like once you're a small organization, there's only 3 or 4 things you can present as projects. And like, you know, now that when you're a region, I mean, this is not an exhaustive list, there's more. This is just like a couple of picked things that we do in the region, and I can talk pretty much about all of this for a lot of time, but like my time is limited here, obviously, and I want also you to grab a coffee later. This will be basically just a few of the technology, accountability, transparency related projects that we are developing currently in the region, and we can talk about those also. This is a little bit shorter than explaining you the Balkans. Only maybe half of a bottle of some hard liquor would be enough for this. So this is what I think that we should be in the next future, in the near future as the region. This should be the tag cloud of the region compared to the ones that I started with, at least in my opinion. And like, you know, I think that slowly and gradually we are moving towards that as the region. It might not seem like that, like, you know, given the pessimism that we've been talking here about, but like, I guess that we as a network and in general the work that the civil society and the citizens are doing. And you know, like, there have been things happening in the region. Governments have been changed. Some people have resigned. Prime ministers have been taken out of office. You know, like, so things happened, and you know, like accountability. And I can give you now the old phrase. Okay, accountability is a word that doesn't translate to the Balkans languages, and it doesn't. But I think after the last couple of years and the work that we've been doing, I think that actually accountability as a word is something that is present in the region, not as a notion, not as a word, but at least as a notion is present, and that we are looking forward to actually this being a tag cloud of the whole region. With that, I would like to thank you with another view of the region and the Action-CEE network. Thank you very much.